In the summer of 1944, a group of battle-hardened Russian soldiers found themselves on a perilous mission. Their orders were clear: capture a hidden Nazi bunker complex nestled deep within the Carpathian Mountains. The group, led by Captain Ivanov, consisted of 10 men who had seen what war had to offer. They pushed through the dense, lush forest, inching their way closer to the mountain stronghold. With artillery support from the Red Army, they began their assault on the complex, facing fierce resistance from the entrenched German forces. After days of brutal combat, they emerged victorious. The Nazis were driven out, and the Russian soldiers took control of the bunker complex, a labyrinthine warren of underground tunnels and chambers. Exhausted and injured, they decided to set up camp within the bunker, thankful for its relative safety from the elements. As they explored their newfound refuge, they uncovered dark secrets that sent shivers down their spines. The walls were adorned with grotesque paintings, the work of a madman, depicting gruesome experiments and horrifying torture of captives. They found cells filled with decomposed corpses. The soldiers couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone in the bunker. One by one, the men began to disappear. Each time, the others would search for their comrades, finding only traces of blood on the cold stone floor. The fear and paranoia grew, and the once cohesive group descended into chaos. Captain Ivanov ordered a lockdown of the bunker, but it did little to halt the relentless horrors. One fateful night, the soldiers gathered in a dimly lit chamber to discuss their next move, their weapons drawn and their trust in each other fading. As they argued and pointed fingers, a ghostly figure emerged from the shadows, his skeletal face contorted in a grotesque smile. It was a soldier who had disappeared days earlier, now an unholy apparition, clad in tattered uniform. In a voice like the howling wind, the spirit revealed the truth of the bunker. It had been the site of diabolical experiments, a place where the boundaries of life and death had been manipulated by the Nazi scientists. The apparition then uttered a chilling revelation: the Red Army High Command had known about the horrors of the bunker all along. They had sent the soldiers here as a sacrifice, a secret pawn in a larger game, with the hope that the evil within the bunker would consume them. The soldiers were left with a choice: stay and face the vengeful spirits or attempt to escape. As they argued and pointed fingers, a different kind of terror began to unfold. From the shadows, unseen hands emerged, grabbing them one by one, pulling them into the darkness. Their screams echoed through the chamber, but their comrades could do nothing to save them. The soldiers fought desperately, firing their weapons into the inky blackness, but it was as though the darkness itself hungered for their souls. Their bullets hit nothing but empty air, and their pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears. Limbs were torn from bodies, throats were slit by unseen blades. The soldiers were pursued by an unrelenting nightmare, a terror that defied all reason. In the end, only a few managed to escape, battered and bloodied. They fled through the dark, winding passages of the bunker, the oppressive darkness closing in around them. One by one, the survivors met gruesome fates. Amid the chaos, the survivors stumbled upon a chamber filled with the remains of those who had disappeared. That sight was enough to break them. Their only hope was to send the youngest, Private Yuri, to run and find help. Yuri left with a heavy heart. The rest remained and readied themselves for a final stand. With weapons in hand and a fierce resolve, they braced for a battle against an incomprehensible evil. Yuri sprinted through the dark tunnels and emerged into the blinding light of the summer day. The distant screams of his comrades echoed through the mountains. Yuri vanished into the wilderness, leaving behind the torment of the bunker. Yuri managed to reach the headquarters, yet only to meet a chilling fate. His own command was desperate to keep the horrifying secret hidden, and had no interest in saving the soldiers. They silenced him with a gunshot, forever sealing the truth within the bunker's malevolent depths. In the bitter cold of the German winter of 1944, a small squad of American soldiers found themselves on a mission deep within the Black Forest. Their objective was classified, known only to the highest echelons of command. Under the pale moonlight and the whispering pines, they followed the path of secrecy that led them further into the heart of the woods. Sergeant Mitchell led the group. Private Johnson, the squad's sharpshooter, walked beside him. The squad included Corporal Anderson and Private Hayes, the squad's medic. As they pressed deeper into the forest, The snow-laden trees creaked, and the shadows seemed to dance, playing tricks on their senses. The biting cold gnawed at their bones, but they knew they had a duty to fulfill. The forest appeared lifeless, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for something sinister. Suddenly, the squad stumbled upon a gruesome sight. In a small clearing, a group of German soldiers lay dead, their bodies twisted and contorted in agony. The snow around them was stained crimson, and it was evident that they had died in unimaginable pain. Among the deceased was a lone German soldier, kneeling in the snow. The American soldiers approached cautiously, their weapons trained on the deranged man. They demanded answers, but all they received were delirious ramblings about the whispers in the trees and the eyes in the dark. It was clear that whatever had transpired here had shattered his sanity. Leaving the broken German soldier behind, the Americans continued their mission, determined to uncover the truth. They followed the trail of destruction deeper into the forest, where the snow grew thicker and the air colder. As they pressed forward, the trees seemed to come alive with unnatural sounds. They came across more scenes of horror, more dead German soldiers, each displaying signs of extreme suffering, as if they had been torn apart from the inside. Then, they discovered the source of the nightmare. Deep in the forest, they found a cavern, its entrance concealed by snow and branches. Anderson, who tried to set explosives, was dragged into the darkness. Hayes, the medic, met a fate so gruesome that Johnson couldn't even bear to describe it. The forest itself seemed to aid the abomination, its trees coming to life to ensnare and suffocate the men. Only Johnson and Mitchell remained, their eyes wide with terror. They fled deeper into the woods, their breath visible in the frigid air. But the entity pursued, a relentless and remorseless force that tormented them with visions of the dead and dying. It whispered horrors into their minds, driving them to the brink of madness. In the end, the forest claimed them. Mitchell was found days later, his body suspended among the branches, his flesh torn to ribbons. Johnson, driven to madness, was never seen again, leaving behind only a journal filled with incoherent ramblings. A few survivors who stumbled upon the cursed Black Forest would later tell stories of the American soldiers who vanished into the heart of the woods. They spoke of the chilling whispers in the trees, the eyes in the dark, and the torment that awaited anyone who dared to venture there. The events of the winter in 1944 were never explained and the bodies were never found. Deep in the wilderness of Washington state, two hunters, John and Mark, went to explore new hunting grounds up north. One chilly morning, while tracking a group of elusive elk, they stumbled upon an overgrown chain-link fence. Hidden within was a U.S. nuclear weapons complex that appeared to have been abandoned for decades. Without hesitation, they pushed through the rusted gate to investigate. It was far from what they expected, with buildings dating back to World War II, filled with abandoned equipment and half-open files. But the most disturbing discovery lay underground. It was clear that something sinister had driven the base's occupants to flee in haste. Digging deeper, they uncovered a journal that revealed the horrifying truth. The facility was not a nuclear base, but had been used for gruesome experiments on humans. In 1951, a catastrophic event had wiped out everyone who worked there. The journal described experiments on human subjects, their minds and bodies subjected to torturous procedures, in the pursuit of creating super soldiers. The accounts grew increasingly gruesome, as they detailed the lengths to which the World War II-era scientists had gone, to unlock the secrets of human potential. This place held secrets that were beyond their comprehension, and the realization that they were trespassing in a nightmare began to gnaw at them. Their retreat was met with an unexpected silence, as if the very walls were closing in around them. Their imaginations played tricks on them, conjuring ghostly apparitions and sinister whispers. They needed to return to the surface, to the world of the living, where the horrors of this place couldn't reach them. But the exit, once straightforward, had become a labyrinth, a twisting maze designed to ensnare them. It was as if the malevolent forces that had once thrived in the base were now awakened, seeking to exact retribution on intruders. In their desperate flight, John's phone buzzed with a new message. It was from his wife. "Where are you? Are you okay?" With trembling hands, he typed out a response: "We found something. It's not what we thought." The reply from his wife was swift and full of concern: "Be careful, please come back to us." They navigated the labyrinthine tunnels with increasing desperation. As they approached what they hoped was the exit, the whispers grew louder. The base's dark past had come alive, and they were its unwitting intruders. The air grew colder, and a sensation of impending doom overwhelmed them. In their final desperate attempt, Mark's flashlight flickered and died, plunging them into total darkness. It was in that moment that the malevolent presence fully enveloped them. On that day in October 2001, both hunters disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only John's desperate last words, sent in a text message to John's wife. Their last words were, "We can't escape. They know we're here. I love you."